All right, let's go to the 1310 WDPN hotline and bring on my good buddy Chris Easterling, Browns beat reporter for the Akron Beacon Journal, here to the show on 1310 WDPN. Christopher, good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm doing fine, Samuel. How are you?
I'm doing good. I got to share this. I reached out to Chris today, and I texted him. I started off with Christopher. I was like, what if he doesn't like Christopher? I've been calling him Chris for 50 years. I guess I'll find out if he answers me back or not. So I guess that was okay.
Yes, I found more and more people besides my mom, when she would be yelling at me, have taken to calling me Christopher. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But,
see, that's the thing. It's like I thought that might have been a scolding tactic by me, because when I'm called Samuel, I've done something very bad.
That's typically the same when I've called Christopher. But
yeah,
at this point, as you know, just don't call me late for dinner.
Right. Well, hey, and if they throw your middle name in, you're done. It's over. Yeah. Like right. Samuel John, I knew I was going right to the wherever. I was going to Old Sparky down in Florida. Okay. big doings today, Chris. And again, not a surprise that we are here now. We kind of all thought this was going to happen, but it did. DeWine signed the bill, and Jimmy and Dee and the big old Taj Mahal, the shovel will be in the ground here soon in Brook Park. You're real close to the situation. There was never a doubt in your mind this was going to happen, was there? Or was there?
I always thought they were eventually going to get here. I just wondered how they were going to get here. I actually thought, I wondered if they weren't able to get state funding in some way, shape, or form. Now, I will say this is quite a creative way to get state funding.
Yes, very.
I thought maybe that would be the point that Jimmy just said, you know what? I'll write the check myself, and all of you can insert the end of that sentence, however you want to end that sentence. So I always thought it was going to get here. I thought the Model Law stuff, by the way, another very impressive way to impressive end around there to get around the lawsuits. By just rewriting the law. But I also actually kind of agreed with them in terms of the original law. I'm like, you can't make a municipality can't make its own public employees live in the city. How can you hold a private business within a municipality if you don't have a legal document binding them to them? So, but that's neither here nor there. That's all. Now, once they cleared those two hurdles, I'm like, well, yeah, they're going to end up in Brook Park. It's just a matter of when. And so here we are, and now we see if it was, if it's just, like the monorail and the Simpsons, or if it actually, actually turns into what they are, advertising that it will do for the greater Cleveland area, for Northeast Ohio. What the events that will they get a Final Four? Will they actually get a Super Bowl? What will Taylor Swift actually make an appearance here in a concert? Who knows? But but that's on them to back up their big talk, because this is what they sold. So show it. Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, and I mean, this clearly is obviously it's going to benefit the Haslam group, the sports group, and we understand all that. I'm still like, gosh, I wish they could have figured out a way to do something downtown. I don't know what the final crazy cost would have been, Chris, if they would have, torn the one down they got, built up a brand new one, maybe did some kind of retractable roof, build around it. I don't know, with the land and the lake. There's just so much stuff. And I don't think the Hasmans were waiting to continue to wait, because the city has been so backwardly run for so long that they probably knew, like a lot of people, that, hey, it's never going to happen downtown. We're going to have to take our stuff and go a little bit, a little different direction, and we're gonna build it, and people are gonna come, and that's just gonna be the end of it. But I guess I understand the extra stuff. I understand wanting to host a Super Bowl, the Final Four, WrestleMania, concerts, and a lot of more stuff you can do 365 with a roof over top than you can with an outside place. So I'm kind of wondering the mood of the fans, just Joe on the street. I wonder how they're feeling today now that this is an absolute reality, and what their thoughts are on it. Have you had a chance to maybe pick up some of the vibe of the Browns fans in and around at least Northeast Ohio?
I think it's split. I think there are legitimate, and I would be surprised if it was anything but that. There are always going to be people that are like, it's a new, having traveled around the league the last few years, these new stadiums, like the one in LA, the one in Atlanta, they're jaw-dropping in how spectacular they are. And I understand why, if you're an owner of a football team, you're like, yeah, I want one of those. It's sort of like the way I wanted whatever new G.I. Joe was coming out when I was 9 years old, and I get the fans that are upset. I get the fans that are upset, and I get the fans who are like, yeah, this is progress. It's a pain in the butt. If you're not going down there to tailgate, and not everybody goes down there to tailgate,
right?
It's in the community lot. It's a pain in the butt to get to the stadium. It is, to get in and out of there. The stadium was rushed in '99, much like the team was rushed in '99, because the area couldn't just sit back. It had to have its football team back yesterday. And I get all that. I lived through all of that. But at the same time, I do appreciate having it in somewhere in the city of Cleveland, if not on the lakefront, which I understand some of the concerns about, the lakefront airport stuff. That's been an albatross for development for years, and nobody's ever explained how you could really actually close it. If they could do it, they would have done it already or told us how they were going to do it, but amazingly they never answered that question. But I wish they could have found someplace else in the city to build it. And when they couldn't, they literally went across the street from the city limit to build it. And that's where they're doing it. It's not like they did. It's not even a field in Richfield. Like the Coliseum was. It's literally across the street from the airport in suburban, at the edge of town.
Right.
Is it far away from downtown? Yes, but so is half the league stadiums.
Yeah,
Buffalo doesn't play in Buffalo.
No.
Dallas doesn't play in Dallas. We can go on and on. So
Cardinals don't play in Phoenix. They're just
the Giants and Jets don't even play in New York.
Not even the same state, right? They've been sharing both those dumps in East Rutherford for decades. Chris Easterling is our guest, Browns beat reporter for the Cleveland Browns here in the Sam Bourquin Show, 1310 WDPN. So we got to see a lot of stuff today. The Browns put a lot of content out on social media, which I'm sure you've seen, either photos or videos or still shots or stats on the stadium. And just a couple of things that I've kind of noticed that I would appreciate as a football fan if I can ever afford to get in. They will have the closest first and last row seats in the NFL. So that means if you're in the front or you're way up at the top, you're going to be closer to there than anywhere. Largest fan wall in the NFL, largest concourse in the NFL. Browns will have the largest locker room in the NFL. What are some of the other amenities or numbers or stats that you've heard about this new stadium that will be plopped in on Brook Park?
Basically the same stuff that everybody else has heard. They don't, it's going to be impressive. If it comes out the way it's designed and everything, it is really going to be jaw-droppingly impressive. And even though there will be people that were, play outdoors and all this stuff, it's going to convert a lot of people. If it matches the diagrams and everything, it's going to convert a lot of people instantaneously. But you can talk about the largest this and largest that. at the end of the day, I want to see it built, and I just want to see. It's about what can you do with it, and can you really get Final Fours? Because I hope they can, because the NCAA has showed they're definitely interested in coming to Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Final Four. The NCAA tournaments here about every third year. The NCAA wrestling championships are coming back next year for the second time in less than a decade. The NCAA clearly likes Cleveland as a destination, and if you give them a building big enough for a Final Four, then I can imagine you're going to, if you could host that women's Final Four. I realize it's a bigger facility, but I would imagine they're willing to talk about a men's Final Four. But it's just that's my biggest thing is the diagrams and the drawings all look nice, but too often when the diagrams and drawings never actually match what you see. Remember the storage crates in the upper right field, at Progressive Field.
Yeah,
to prove my point.
Point taken.
But absolutely, I mean, it should be spectacular for that cost. I would hope it's spectacular, and I think I just hope we eventually can get past this and not let nostalgia, color, whether we'll get past the nostalgia of not playing on the lakefront. I would have thought 3 years without football would have done that, but case or apparently not.
Well, one thing will fix all this: winning. And you know what? There's a part of me. If the Browns would have been like just on fire the last 5 or 6 years, I mean, going to maybe a Super Bowl or two, winning 12, 13 games a year, I don't even know if you'd be hearing about stadium talk. I mean, I really don't.
It would have been the civic pride would have taken over, and it would have been like, let's go. It's like, I can remember early in my career, when I was working in Massillon, Rick Shepp was talking, they were trying to pass a levy.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the best way to pass a levy is to have winning football.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of like that also. I mean, it's with this. It's hard to sell this when they're coming off of 3-14. You're choosing between Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco and Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders play quarterback. Your star player spent a month saying he didn't want to go anywhere but here until you gave him 4 years, $160 million. So yeah, I get it totally, and that's on them to change that though. And the proof, much like when the stadium is ultimately built, actions speak louder than words on that part as well.
Chris Easterling is our guest from the Akron Beacon Journal, talking a little Brown Stadium here on the program. A couple more, Chris, and we'll kick you free now. Obviously, you covering games, and I know you're a big sports fan anyway. You've been to stadiums and buildings and places all over the country. I have watched football in a dome. I've watched baseball in a dome. I've obviously watched both outdoors. I'm sure you have done the same. Just us sitting around, maybe pulling a bar stool out of it, having a beverage. You prefer football outdoors, or are you okay with it? Watching it inside.
You tell me what the temperature is.
Okay,
I'm serious.
Let me. Go ahead.
I have to, because I'm going to have to prove myself that I was in at the 07 Buffalo game.
So was I.
Lower bowl.
Yes.
Me and a buddy had pictures. Our beer cups were rimmed with snow. I was there.
Yes.
I risked my life driving through the snow.
Yes.
To go to Cleveland to go to a football game.
Yep.
So I've been there.
Yep. I was there with you, buddy.
You knew it once. That it's great. But I'm one of the same reason why I don't like the U.S. Open in golf. I appreciate watching world-class athletes be able to show off their abilities, at not be encumbered by other things, weather and stuff like that. Be able to show what they really can do, show their greatness. let it be athlete versus athlete, not athlete versus this random third quarter snowstorm that makes turns everything, makes everybody look like freaking newborn fools
right
out on the field. So I mean, that's just me, it's personal preference. I get it. Again, the nostalgia. When I went to that game in 2007, I always wanted to go to a Blizzard game.
Yep.
Growing up, because I watched at the old stadium. I saw those games with the snow and it's great once.
Yeah.
Until you walk out of the stadium
and you can't find your car because it's right.
You can't find your car. You've got to trudge. It takes you 2.5 hours to go what's normally a 40-minute drive. All of that.
Yeah,
so,
I get it. I was there. We actually drove up the night before because we knew it was going to be bad, and it was still hell getting in and out of there. And we stayed to the very end. But here's my thing, and it really, honestly, it has nothing to do with that kind of weather, Chris. Me in Northeast Ohio, and we do get some beautiful weather. Not all the time, but we do. But I'm going to tell you right now, in September, in October, maybe even the first week in November, if it's between like 55 and 75, I want to be outdoors, man. I want to be out. I want to enjoy the good weather without a roof over my head.
I get that. I totally understand that. And it's why if you want to argue I'm not going to argue, I'm not going to argue somebody else's opinion. I'm not.
Sure.
If that's the way you like it. I'm just saying how I like it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I completely understand that. Yeah.
I would, if I had my druthers, it would be something like they have in Indy, where it's a retractable roof.
Yes.
Where so that you can close it on those miserable days, but when you get those, because again, October is not like September used to be.
Right.
Nowadays, where the weather is, I know last year the October games were just beautiful.
They were, and I don't want to throw those precious days away. Look, I guess
I totally understand that.
Yeah, but was there any ever? I'm sure there was talk, but I guess there was too much money. I don't know. Did they ever think about a retractable roof in Brook Park, or was that not even a discussion?
I don't know. Once they got to Brook Park, that it ever got to that point.
Okay.
Because of cost, I vaguely think at one point there was talking when it was still Cleveland was down, something down on the lakefront. There was talk of that, but not. I think this was always the plan for Brook Park, and again, we'll see. They got what they wanted, and now it's on them to. Show, it's on them.
Yeah, now it's time to.
It's worth it.
Now it's time. All right, Christopher, I appreciate the time. Have a great summer. Enjoy your quote unquote free time, and then I'm sure we'll be calling upon you again here once we get to Camp and Berea, and we'll go from there.
Hey, always a pleasure.
You bet. Thanks, bud.
Thanks.
There he goes, Chris Easterling, Browns beat reporter for the Akron Beacon